favorite of towns near and far.
Janner memorized the whole book. Whoa! It's so cute.
Wow, this is amazing. Ain't that the truth?
Come on, let's go, let's go.
May I present the favorite of towns near and far.
Janner memorized the whole book. Whoa! It's so cute.
Wow, this is amazing. Ain't that the truth?
Come on, let's go, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Wingfeather Saga live stream. Thanks for joining me. I'm Chris Wall, executive producer of the animated series, and welcome to Angel Studios. We're not in Nashville. We're out here in Provo, Utah. This is the Dry Bar Comedy stage. I think a lot of you know about that. We're excited to bring you a big evening with lots of stuff to reveal. It's pretty packed. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but it's pretty cool to be on this stage. I've actually gotten to see some comedians here. Some of you know this, but our one of our writers, Corey Edwards, who emceed our red carpet event in Nashville, is a comedian and actually has a special on Dry Bar. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. He's brilliantly funny, and it's really cool to be here. It's pretty legendary. So first time walked in here, we were talking to Angel Studios about, hey, would you guys want to help us make Wingfeather Saga and distribute it? And came down here to this set, and it was like a moment for Andrew and I, like, oh man, this is a great place. So glad to be here telling you all the cool things that we have for you from this stage. All right. Some of you saw that we did a very early teaser trailer of the series, and then we did another second one. Well, now we finally put together our first official season 1 trailer, and so we're going to show that here tonight. You definitely want to stay tuned for it. We are in the gap, if you're just catching up, between part 1 and 2. So part 1 was episodes 1 through 3 that we know a lot of you jumped in on in December. Part 2 comes up February 10th, so we're in this gap and working hard to make those episodes. We just finished mixing. Some of you saw that on YouTube, but we just finished mixing episode 4, now underway on episode 5. And people, you're in for a real treat. Our team is just delivering some awesome stuff. So I don't know where you're watching this right now, but if you're not watching it on YouTube, would you mind going over to YouTube and finding our channel, Wingfeather Saga, just at Wingfeather Saga or just search Wingfeather, and subscribe there? We would love to get to 50,000 subscribers there. That'll really help us with kind of the algorithms and helping more people to find us and be able to tell our story of this great series. So have a look. And if you wouldn't mind, if you have a friend that you think might like this story too, tell them where to find us. So that YouTube channel, Wingfeather Saga, is where we're putting all this great content, and we'd love to see you there. So thanks for subscribing on our YouTube channel as we continue to tell our story to more and more people finding this series for the first time. We have a very special guest on this episode, and we're excited to introduce him in a minute. But Chris Miller, who plays Commander Gnorm, our favorite shiny, loving Fang, is going to join us and tell us a little bit about bringing this maggot-loaf loving character to life. It's going to be super fun. But you want to stay to the end. We're going to have this talk with Chris, and then we got our trailer reveal, of course, and then we are just so excited. We have a very cool exclusive clip just for you coming out of episode 4, which comes up on February 10th. And so stay tuned to watch that clip right at the very end. But for now, let's meet our good friend Chris Miller, and we're going to set it up first with a really fun clip that you probably saw in episode 2 of Commander Gnorm.
Who are you? We are Fangs. Fangs from where? Fangs from God. And who do you serve?
The mighty Mag, the nameless one who has no name.
All right, shut your gobs. Pitiful lot you are. You call yourselves Fangs?
Fangs from God.
Then shut your gobs. You're not Fangs. Fangs are fearsome, loathsome. You are not. I might even have to move up your refangings.
Oh, might need to make it 2 refangings for old Floor.
Oh, yes, Slarp. Humiliated by the Igiby piglets and their mutt.
Those runts never thrashed me. A rock conked my skull bone from above. Probably that florid sword.
Come all the way from Dugtown just to coat your noggin, did he? Well, we just got orders to be ready to march, and marching usually ends up in fighting. And fighting is what gets a Fang promoted. If we impress General Crack, our next assignment might just be in Torboro. And that place is swimming in maggot-loaf. I said, shut your gobs. Go prepare your gear, sharpen your spears, and kiss your ugly mamas goodbye.
What's so funny?
Fangs ain't got no mamas.
I said dismissed. Not you. You're being reassigned. The black carriage rolls into Glipwood tonight. I'm putting you on carriage duty.
Fantastic. Chris, welcome.
Hey.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You got the call about sweaters?
Yes.
Good.
The high neck one makes
Yeah.
it makes the post-holiday. Yeah. Anyways, so glad to have Christopher Miller with us. Christopher Robin Miller.
Oh my gosh, yep.
Yep.
The 3 names.
Do you
MK
get
Ultra.
CRM?
Yeah, which is weird, right?
Sounds like a company, like an advisor fund.
It sounds
you know.
like a corporate problem.
We have a concrete company near us in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Similar. Anyways, so we're so glad to have Chris here. He, gosh, done so many amazing things.
Yeah.
Comedically. And when did you first hear about us? How did we get connected?
How did I hear about you guys? Well, I remember an audition coming through and me actually doing just the promo video for raising funds.
The old pitch video. Yeah.
Which
Not everybody has seen this. So before we got started on Wingfeather, we had to do this pitch video to tell people about Wingfeather Saga and ways they could invest and help us to make the show. And we were working with an agency here in Provo, Utah, and they recommended this fella.
Yeah. I mean, they hired me because I already had the pumpkin pants. Right?
So we'll throw you a clip of this. You can watch this while we're chatting here. But you did our pitch video telling everybody about this Wingfeather Saga show that could be. It was a dream.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
Yeah, and it was really fun, too, because we were it was kind of like filming a Renaissance fair.
It was.
You know?
So it was up at Evermore, which is here in Utah, which looks exactly like it does in the footage. Like, it's crazy. We didn't dress it. It's like, that's how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you work there on the weekends?
No, I don't. I don't. If only. If they'd let me in. No, but that was so much fun because basically my favorite thing to do is to don voices like this, you know, and to speak as if it makes me sound a little bit smarter than in real life. Mm-hmm. So,
we talked then, and we've shared this clip already, but we talked then about you wanting to be a part of the show.
Oh, yeah.
And like a lot of these, you know, you'll get people saying, hey, I'm a voice actor. Can I be a part of the show? And of course,
there you go.
It's brilliant. And you're like, absolutely. I don't know where that is. We're not sure. So fast forward, golly, 9 months maybe?
Yeah.
It was a long stretch. And we get a batch of auditions from our casting director. And they're just initials. It may have been CRM. I think it was CRM or something like this.
Well, and that ended up being fortunate because the first time I sent it with my whole name and I thought, okay, I'm getting the message. Like I sent it, no word. And I was like, oh, all right. I got to stop pulling the favor thing. And then a month later, I decided to send the files again and I just put C.R. Miller. And then...
So we listened to these auditions, Andrew and I, and we're like, oh my gosh, this guy. And we had a couple of people. This is what Commander Gnorm could be. And then we just like, oh, this is the one. And we had a call back, and our casting director Ned's like, oh yeah, so you know this guy. We're like, we do. And you popped on Zoom, and I'm like, Chris.
And you had a poster of me behind you.
I did. It was so weird.
Yeah. That was cool.
So totally earned it. Both times, both in the pitch video and then, of course, in this role.
Thank goodness.
As you started getting into Commander Gnorm and you know playing a villainous character, tell me about some of that.
It's my favorite thing because when in acting, the best thing is to play a bad guy because you don't get in trouble for all this bad behavior. It's the only place where you can behave badly and everyone goes, oh, afterwards. So, and he's also this great big guy, and I'm sort of a diminutive fellow, so being able to make the sound of this big, nasty lizard and the fact that you could do all the mouth noises that you would normally want to get out of a voiceover, and it was like, no, juice this up.
Yeah, instead of normally with it, and we'll do this often when we're recording, we'll tell someone, hey, why don't you take a drink of water? Because you'll start to hear that stuff, and it's like distracting. And
is it though?
Now we're an ASMR channel. So he was able to really do a lot of these. What were some of the techniques, if you can remember, for getting some of those, like when you're eating maggot-loaf and like getting those sounds?
I think we actually took a couple of trips to the snack basket.
Yeah.
I think we actually applied real food, and if I mention them, we might have to pay them.
Yeah, but it was some squishy foods that had like
there was some squishy
good,
things. I had some fruit gummies.
Yep.
We did some of that, and mixing that with a little bit of water or soda.
So one of the things that's interesting about the Fang characters is we want those voices. So in all the Fangs, I think we talked about this a bit, but you have to journey between a natural character voice to a monster, right? So monster is the right and just scary. And we really, in Andrew and I kind of reapproaching the Fangs, I think we talked about this, but I asked Andrew, hey, so what do the Fangs sound like? Pirates? And I was like, okay, we're going to need to go more. So we worked, and one of the writers, Doug McKelvey, and we developed a Fanglish, Fang language that would be a consistent kind of vocabulary. Now, some have more sophisticated, like Gnorm here, and some are kind of simpler, like maybe Critch, who just kind of talks slow and whatever. And but we wanted them to be articulate because that makes them characters. So the cool thing about Gnorm is you're not playing a monster. You're playing an intelligent guy who has surprisingly political, bureaucratic aspirations.
Yeah. He's a very selfish creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that was so wonderful about him is that he relishes in his oppression of others and in his raising rank and being punitive with his underlings.
It is weird. Okay, so this is something I'm curious. Put it in the chat below, guys. But the idea that we just played that clip a minute ago, that if Fang would have aspirations for rank, if I do well, I could be a colonel, right? So it was weird for me in that monster idea, right? These are kind of oppressive, mean guys, but they have a chance to advance. So it's fun. Your character in particular, and this is we introduced this in episode 1. Commander Gnorm has a love of shinies, right? So it's a strange quirk, and there's a lot of backstory we can't talk about here without spoilers.
Right.
Oh, but I want to. But why he would love shinies, and so you have arranged Glipwood to be like your playground, and so you allow this Dragon Day festival to happen with a little tax that you take on.
Yeah.
They're going to see in upcoming episode 4, February 10th, some business with you with these jewels that show up and pocketing a little on the side, a little tax, a little Gnorm tax.
Oh, yeah.
But it's quite an elaborate scheme you've got going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm enriching myself while also, I've got the above the table and the below the table going on the whole time. So
how did you balance out keeping the kind of meanness in the character while keeping him legible? I think that's one of the challenges of voices like this, where I'm sorry, I didn't understand a word you said. Do it again.
There were times where we would actually do another take where it was like, oh, that was so great and creaturey. What? And I think that one of the things that I had to do was I literally had to embody him. So sometimes I would have to get bigger and get it into my fingers and toes so that manic energy wouldn't garble all of this. And so, you saw it. I was throwing myself around that booth a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little exhausting, these runs. Like we do them in sessions about 4 hours, and there is a lot of physicality. You know? Not to mention, we always talk about this with each of the actors we've talked to. Efforts. So in your case, now they haven't seen this yet, but coming up very soon, episodes 4, 5, and 6, part 2. There's some fighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And talk about efforts and just what that demands out of you.
Well, you do a lot of that. It's the same thing that I do in the car, which is why people try not to look over at me. No, it's weird because you put us in a padded room and we act like freakazoids, and then they. And
a lot of times we do these recordings at the very beginning. So we are looking from just the script. At times we'll have a bit of an animatic, right? Some storyboards to look at. And so you can kind of follow along and make sounds, as you go. But a lot of it's in your imagination, like thinking about the size. So we have pictures of Commander Gnorm, available. So okay, what would he sound like if he was moving and jumping and this kind of thing?
Yeah. We had to keep making him bigger and fatter and more awkward.
Yep.
That was the thing that we had to keep doing. They were like, that was really nice. That seemed like you lost a little weight there.
Yep. Yeah, I love that direction. Ned, our casting director, he's often in those voice sessions, and he's like, he would just say, like, hey, you're sounding a little, I need you heavier,
Yeah.
And you would kind of push it back in your jowls,
Yeah. I would get it in there. And I would do that rolled tongue thing, too. Well, kind of that. Yeah. Which sounds like your mouth is full.
So a whole lot of fans have gotten to meet this character and be introduced to him. What's the reaction been so far? 3 episodes are out there.
Oh, gosh. People are so thrilled. One of the things, too, is that they're surprised when they find out that I did that voice. And that's one of my favorite things. They're kind of like, you don't sound like that. I'm like, I hope not. I hope I don't walk down the street sounding like Commander Gnorm. But yeah, they love the character, and he's so fiendish. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
He is headed towards an epic
Yeah.
finale here coming up in episode 4 and 5, particularly. Is there anything in particular, without spoiling anything,
Yeah.
that you're excited about coming up in part 2?
I love fight scenes. I love sword play. I love anything that deals with those kind of things. So I'm kind of excited about it.
Okay, I have to tell you guys. So I want to see in the comments if you can get this right. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you chat amongst yourselves. What superpower do you think Commander Gnorm has? So we wanted each of our fangs to have something they do that's actually pretty cool, right? So Slarb can extend his fangs out and they drip with acid, which is pretty cool. What do you think Commander Gnorm's superpower, what do you think his thing is? Because there is a really cool thing that shows up here in part 2 that there's a real surprise. Like, oh, didn't expect that. So put in the comments if you think you can guess what that is. Is there a favorite moment for you so far out of part 1?
Oh my goodness. There are quite a few. The thing that I got really excited about was when the first time I saw the kids running from the toothy cows. Mm-hmm. I actually, it surprised and delighted me. There's some really funny moments, and I'm drawn to funny. So, yeah. I mean, I think that was that was some of my favorite. It really shocked me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Those. Speaking of, oh my gosh. Okay, coming up in episode, I think it's 6. Get a little more toothy cow.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic reveal. Ah, man, you're not gonna. It's so good. Besides Gnorm, is there a favorite character in the cast?
Oh gosh, I don't want to be selfish, but Vop is.
Vop.
He's really cool.
He's a tall, surfery, Stallone-ish kind of character. Now that voice is very familiar.
Yeah.
You know anything about the voice on Vop there?
I don't know. Whoever did it, awesome.
Awesome. Now Vop we meet in episode 1. In case you haven't got all your names figured out, because there's just a bunch of talking lizards. Vop is the one who teases Slarb when he and Brack stop Slarb chasing the kids, and they have this little conversation. Yeah. So Chris plays Vop, in case you're not figuring this out, and it's a completely different voice.
It's so much fun to go a whole different direction and play this guy who is not quite as smart, but he's not a dummy either. But he's brutally efficient.
If you look at his design, he's actually very similar to Slarb, but where Slarb kind of stoops over and kind of snakes about, this guy's like super tall. He's like the better version of Slarb.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we want you to play opposite him. Now, in episode 4, Slarb and Vop are going to have a little tussle.
Yeah.
They're going to have a little fight. And
like many times in life, I had to fight myself.
And so it's a thing that we get to do in voice work like this, that on occasion you get great actors like Chris who can play multiple characters and just find voices that are totally distinct. And you did here, and it's brilliant. And every time we tell someone that you're doing this, much like Kellen, obviously, and his ability to play a number of characters, it's such a great talent. Do you have trouble ever kind of finding, as we went through all season 1, do you have trouble ever finding those voices again, or does that character start to fully come to life for you? What's that journey like?
The only way that I'm able to ever create any kind of consistency, and sometimes it takes a few minutes, is usually that I have to give my own body a physical cue that will automatically put me in that different place.
Yeah, sure.
And without that, it's like, you'd be trying to listen to yourself, which good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it's been a blast having you in season 1. I'm so thrilled with the life you've brought to Commander Gnorm. He's interesting. There's some cool stuff coming up in episode 4, February 10th, that really gives us more of his character and kind of who he is, where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But right now, we have something very special.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind setting this up for our audience.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'd love to. Well, we left off with the kids in Ankle Jelly Manor with the horned hounds banging at the door. Okay, so what's in store for the rest of the season? Let's find out. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, this is the trailer for Season 1.
This is my family. Tink loves to take risks.
Stay away from the edge.
And Lily
I'm going.
is always up for adventure. But we're perfectly free. As long as we do exactly what the Fangs say. 9 years ago, they came from across the dark sea of darkness during the Great War. Here in Glipwood, they didn't even fight back. But I don't remember those days, and life is pretty normal. As long as the Fangs are in a good mood, and I don't look silly in front of Sarah Cobbler, and we avoid the dangerous creatures, there's absolutely nothing to fear.
I think he likes me.
Except for the Black Carriage. It comes at night to take you away. No one knows where to, because no one ever comes back. They took her!
We have to do something to help.
Help? Forget that girl ever existed.
A map? But to what? Ankle Jelly Manor.
We have to find the Florid Sword. He's the only one who can get her back.
Mag wants one thing. The Jews of Anira.
That was close.
What was close?
Jenner! Lily! Tink! There must be a clue in the map. No, Papa! Esben Wingfeather.
Stay in goal this time and bounce their slingers. When they moop their whackers, I'll jake those beans crossfield to Janner, who will already have skittered around their hounders.
Guys, am I still frozen?
Tell me about the Jews.
I'm gonna fight them too. Mr. Peet!
Remember who you are.
Whatever your plan was, I think we need a better one.
Well, in the immortal last words of General Schnimp, Toodles!
Dude,
Yeah, I'm excited.
so good. So proud of our team. Had to accelerate some footage from later episodes to get for you guys there, and our friends at Harmon Brothers helped make that trailer. Some cool stuff with Norman there.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to be there was, if you look, there was a jail moment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely wielding my leverage over everyone.
I can't wait. There is, this is structured season 1 to kind of lay groundwork and then begin to build off of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can see there's some definite building. If you loved that trailer as much as we did, very shortly, during or after this live stream, it'll be live on our YouTube channel. Like we said earlier, please go subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. We really want to get to 50,000 subscribers on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you would go and find it, and then share that trailer with your friends. If you've loved our story and want others to watch it, we would really appreciate that. And tell them to subscribe too. And join in our adventure here. Part 2 has a ton of stuff, ton of action, as you can see.
Yeah, it is really action-packed. In fact, I was surprised at how forceful it was. Didn't your daughter even say something to you at some point?
She's like, Dad, kid show.
Wow.
And I will say, for families out there that are watching, we did say this is a Y7 show with fantasy violence. The violence kicks in now because there is definitely some fighting coming back, as you saw in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
There's some fantastic stuff with Poto. He finally gets to. He's been kind of holding back over the many years as they live under this Fang oppression, but some stuff starts to happen, and he gets his moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Including a moment with you. As Norm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we're a pretty good match there, size-wise,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if we were a battle video game, I don't know. What would we? Round 5. No.
Chris, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us here. This has been great. So glad to have you, and they're going to see a whole lot more of Commander Gnorm starting in part 2, February 10th. Thanks for coming by, man.
Thank you.
Take care. So good seeing Chris and hearing his Commander Gnorm stories. Can't wait for you to see more of his stuff in part 2. We have been community supported from the beginning. From the Kickstarter days, some of you were part of that back in 2014, up through our funding round in 21 and 22, and to today, and all the fans that have helped support us. And we've been thinking about what we could do to have an access point for some of you that are just passionate about Wingfeather like we are. I'm fan number 1. I talk about this a lot, but I first read the books and just fell in love with it and started to come alongside Andrew and say, what would it look like to make this an animated series? And 7 years later, here we are. And so what would it look like to give you some access, some tools, some ways of helping to tell your friends? And so we are working on an ambassador program. And we had done something similar to this back with VeggieTales when I was there, where we would help resource people with kind of tools and fun stuff. And so we've got a new ambassador program that we're testing, and we want to have some feedback from you, our fans, on what you think. Is this useful to you? And so we're looking at what perks, rewards, some fun activities, all that kind of fun stuff. We've got some contest stuff and other promotions linked in there. We've called a number of these our featherheads, right? Our Uber fans who love Wingfeather Saga. And we think this ambassador program could be the next step in kind of growing that ability for you guys to tell your friends. We know that word of mouth is the thing. I mean, how many of you had to hear about another show or movie multiple times from someone else before your family sat down and had a look at it, right? And we know that's a huge part of what we're doing with Wingfeather Saga is you guys telling your friends. And it's been a part of the growth of the books over the years and now the series. And so go check out, there's an on-screen graphic here for you of the Wingfeather Ambassador Program. Have a look at it. Tell us what you think. We'd love to get that moving along. And thanks for your feedback. Along with that, there's all kinds of other ways you can help us in sharing the show and telling your friends and supporting us. The show is free. We think that's the best way to get the most people to be able to see it. And we know that some of you will then choose to help support the show and get it out. So one of those ways you can do that is by checking out our merch. And so at wingfeathersaga.com/store, we have a whole lot of cool stuff there, from shirts to puzzles. Our family just got some of those puzzles over Christmas, and they're really good. We were all kind of shocked at how well made. Our friends at Angel Studios and Brock Starnes, who works on our team, have helped to come up with really cool stuff. If you have ideas for merch that you want to see, you're like, hey, you guys are totally missing this, drop a note in the comments, reach out to us, info@wingfeathersaga.com. Tell us, hey, here's what we'd like to see. But every time you buy a piece of merch from us, you're supporting the show. So that money goes to help us as we're funding for season 2. So that's a great way to get after that. Another way is by paying it forward. And so paying it forward is like a tip jar. So if you go in and watch a great show and you have a good time, it's natural to tip, right? To say, hey, love what you're doing, and here's a little something. Some of you, Dry Bar Comedy was built on that, right? Get to watch these comedy specials, and if you like what that comedian did, you give a little tip at the end. We do pay it forward. That's the way it works, and so it helps keep our show free for more and more eyeballs, for more and more people to get to see it, and you can support us by paying it forward. There's some perks in there, so if you're interested, there is one that allows for a early access where you pay a little on Pay It Forward and get to watch the show a couple days early. So check those out. And as always, thank you so much for your support. We love making the show, and you're making it possible. All right. We are so excited for February 10th and starting part 2, the epic conclusion of season 1. And we wanted to give you an exclusive clip coming out of episode 4, Peet's Castle. Like I said earlier, this is not Peet's Castle itself. We're going to save that reveal for later, but trust us, it's really cool. But episode 4 picks up right where we left him with the kids in Ankle Jelly Manor and what's going to happen as we kick into this. And set your calendars, reminders, February 10th, join us for a live stream, and we will show you episode 4. But in the meantime, check out this exclusive clip, and we will then see you February 10th. Thanks.
Sink me.
Jenner! Lily! Tink!
Boys? Lily!
Lily! Tink! Jenner!
Oh, Nugget.
Fangs did this.
Fangs! Where are the children?
Let's not jump to the worst of it. Maybe they slipped out. I wager they'd head to Oscar's fast as a buttered thwap like we told them.
To Oscar's, then.
The pup is locked on something out back. You take the wagon to town, find Oscar, check the jail. I'll see what Nugget's nose has to say. Nia, we'll find him.
We'll find them.
This is my family. Tink loves to take risks. Stay away from the edge. And Lily
I'm going.
is always up for adventure. But we're perfectly free. As long as we do exactly what the Fangs say. 9 years ago, they came from across the dark sea of darkness during the Great War. Here in Glipwood, they didn't even fight back. But I don't remember those days, and life is pretty normal. As long as the Fangs are in a good mood, and I don't look silly in front of Sarah Cobbler, and we avoid the dangerous creatures, there's absolutely nothing to fear.
I think he likes me.
Except for the black carriage. It comes at night to take you away. No one knows where to, because no one ever comes back. They took her!
We have to do something to help.
Help? Forget that girl ever existed.
A map? But to what?
Ankle Jelly Manor.
We have to find the Florid Sword. He's the only one who can get her back.
Mag wants one thing: the Jews of Anira.
That was close.
What was close?
Jenner! Lily! Tink!
There must be a clue in the map.
No, Papa!
Esben Wingfeather.
Stay in goal this time and bounce their slingers. When they mook their whackers, I'll jake those beans crossfield to Janner who will already have skittered around their hounders.
Guys, am I still frozen?
Tell me about the Jews.
I'm gonna fight them too. Mr. Peet!
Remember who you are.
Whatever your plan was, I think we need a better one.
Well, in the immortal last words of General Schnimp, Toodles!